It is 4 o'clock. I'll call a special meeting to order. Need approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of the agenda, say yes.
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 Say no. Okay. New business, blue ball protection chips. So, thank you all for taking the time to do this. I appreciate it. As you know, there's been an issue with those blue chips all over the park on the splash pad, and it's not getting any better. And I would like to come to an agreement to have staff remove the chips and replace it with cypress mulch. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Is cypress mulch something that's approvable for a base for a swing set?
It is.
It's what's in G Park right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Well,
just put that in.
yeah, that, should I speak or no?
Go right ahead, Brian. That's why you're up here at the
Okay.
table.
If I overstep my bounds, please. With that play structure, it is ADA, so we have to keep that in mind. Whatever goes there has to be ADA. Sand is not. Pebbles or pea stone is not. Engineered wood chips are. Blue are, and poured in place are all ADA compliant.
What is poured in place? Cement?
Rubberized.
Rubberized poured in place.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the cypress mulch has a very short lifespan, so we're gonna have to constantly replace that. I don't think we've done any changes to the blue chips since that structure was put
Nope.
in
No additions or?
close to 20 years ago, so that's gonna increase the cost. I don't know, unless you go with the poured-in-place rubberized, the stuff's gonna migrate. Even the cypress mulch is gonna migrate. I think it's unfortunate, it's more of a nuisance and a maintenance issue. Other than, you know, kids deciding to grab handfuls and moving it over there, it just gets stuck on the bottom of their feet. So I don't know if we gain anything by going with the cypress mulch over the rubberized.
I'm not accepting the stuck to your feet. I've had numerous people tell me they've had their kids wet their feet, walk through there, and it didn't stick to their feet. So, I see it on a daily basis. There are large chunks that are not stuck to people's feet. This is intentional. You see it right over a jet. That's multiple times. Large amounts of it right on a jet. Kids throw it in there, hoping it'll spray up. It doesn't stick to their feet.
Well, how would the cypress mulch be any different then?
The kids aren't gonna pick that up. I don't see kids picking that up at any playground I've ever been at where kids have that under their feet. They're not picking that up. That doesn't look like candy. That doesn't look like toys. Blue chips look like candy, it looks like toys. It's easy to pick up and throw, so that's what they do.
So those blue chips have been there for how long?
The swing set went up, we were trying to figure it out because our daughters were featured in the catalog when they installed it. And I think Corey was about 5 or 6. So it's been 15 years since we installed it. Is that pretty close?
Yeah, it's probably pretty close, a little longer.
I
Stuff
thought
basically
the
just-
We
blue
did.
chips had only been there a few
We
years.
did, you're
Blue chips have
exactly
only
right.
been there a few
Yes.
years.
We had the engineered wood chips in the beginning, which degraded, and they were being spread amongst the park, so this was the next, the professional's next suggestion was go with the rubberized chips, prior to the splash pad, so.
Yeah, well, if the wood chips from before were ending up causing a problem for the yard, wouldn't the cypress chips, or,
The engineered chip?
isn't that gonna do the same thing?
Yeah.
The wood chips break down, the rubber. Look, walk through the park, walk through town, it's everywhere. I see it downtown. The stuff is being scattered throughout the park. It's, depending on what sample you take, there's toxic elements in that stuff, and rubber does break down.
Well, I guess that's another thing I'm wondering about, if I have seen different articles on the toxic nature of those chips, those shredded tires, and it being a health hazard. So I haven't investigated it that deeply, but I know there's been articles written on that.
And we're gonna have trouble getting rid of the, what, are we just gonna take them over and put them in a pile behind DPW?
Pretty much, yep, and use them somewhere else, I
You know,
suppose.
if something comes up, we're gonna use them, we'll use them, and. Are we doing this ourselves, or like, your crew gonna go down and remove the old ones?
To save money, we could remove, then I would have, because there's gonna have to be work done for site prep again. I would have the professionals do it after that with the engineered wood chips.
What's the cost of porous board?
I've asked, it's anywhere from $25 to $30 a square foot, but that does not include site prep.
I think we're looking at 50 grand plus.
Yeah, for the port in place.
50,000 plus for that play structure.
That's a little much.
Yeah,
Is this something that can just be taken care of with regular park staff stopping by daily to take it off the splash pad?
Well, that's between volunteers and city staff. City staff could step it up a little bit, probably. I know that the parks crew heads down to the marina in Goodrich Park pretty much every morning
yes,
to get trash. They can eyeball it, and if there's an issue, they can address it as well.
The rubber's not a problem for mowing or anything, is it?
no, has not been.
Come on.
Come on in.
Saved you a chair.
I've got kids, they're younger. Not this young as what we're talking about, but my personal opinion is they're gonna move stuff around no matter what, they're kids. It's kind of inherent to the business of a playground. So, I mean, for us to spend a whole lot of money to do, just change the object that they're moving around doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I also don't exactly know why this isn't necessarily just a work session item as well, but it's another conversation.
Well, we can't move the splash pad. I don't know, I don't think anybody's probably thought about moving the swing set either, because that would be a major undertaking. So,
It would have to be disassembled and reassembled. It would be
yeah.
very expensive.
So we're stuck with what we have where we have it now, so we either live with it the way it is, since that's what we've done, and just quit bitching about it and just do it, you know, or put in something different. But I agree with Keith, anything that you put in that's loose, to me, is gonna end up in the splash pad eventually. It doesn't matter whether it's blue chips or whether it's cypress mulch or whether it's sand. It's gonna eventually end, some of it is gonna end up on the splash pad.
So for background for me, having a artificial material like that down underneath the play set, as opposed to just the regular old ground with grass on it, which was like every playground I had growing up, is that these days now an insurance requirement or liability for some? Why are playgrounds like that now?
There is, you assume more risk if you stray away from approved fall protection. That play structure, I'm pretty sure, was covered with a DNR grant, and DNR requires this fall protection as well as ADA compliance. That's why we have the sidewalk heading over to the pavilion as well. So, yeah, so it's both ADA as well as safety requirements.
Okay. And that was tied to the initial funding.
Yep, and, just like green warning lights are better than red and yellow, Times change, everything had sand. But sand has been shown not to be an approved fall protection.
Do you always bag the grass there, or do you normally just
No.
cut it and let her rip, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Because bagging it might be an issue for getting rid of the clippings, I would think, if there's chunks of rubber in it.
Right.
Scott, do you know, you say that sand isn't approved ADA. How do they get away with that, like at Pure Marquette? I mean, it's all sand, and they've got swing sets and,
Well, we probably have a number of play structures that don't meet minimum requirements for ADA and fall protection. You could say it's grandfathered in, but there also might be an exception when you're building it on a beach. Because when you get close to Lake Michigan, you also have the critical dunes, the shoreline, so other factors probably play into it out at Pierre Marquette and other parks.
Not only that, anything you put there is gonna get covered by sand over the winter anyway.
True.
Yeah.
how much maintenance on the splash pad have we had due to the blue chips? Excessive maintenance?
There's been no maintenance, because the city is not taking care of it. I have. Every day I go down there and clean them off.
Well,
It's,
but
Wednesday, it was so bad that the water was having trouble draining. Now, ultimately, those chips are gonna get into the pipes and the system, and the investment that we put in that splash pad is gonna be lost. To me, the splash pad's more valuable than the blue chips.
Is there a filter in there?
No.
No.
There's a screen that screens out the bigger chunks that can't get through the top. But those things, I don't know how well they're gonna flow down the pipe. At some point, we
Well,
could very
maybe-
well see that
maybe we-
pipe plugged.
maybe we need to set up, I mean, we've got summer help. Just make that part of somebody's job, that every morning they go down and make sure that's clean.
And that's what I mentioned, is that we do have the parks crew go down there, I mean, pretty much every morning to collect trash. We do recognize and appreciate the volunteer help, which does alleviate the city having to do it, but I don't think it would be burdensome by any means for the city to do that in lieu of or supplementing any volunteer assistance.
It would probably be cheaper to do that than it would be to remove and replace
I thought,
what we've already got there.
I thought last year, on occasion, some of the kids that were working at the marina went over, or asked to go over and clean that too.
Not the splash pad, the pavilion bathrooms, and to monitor the trash cans.
Okay.
We have not asked them to do anything with the splash pad.
So as far as prevention goes, what could we do to prevent that from happening? Something, anything that anybody can think of? I know we looked at a fence, we talked about a fence, it sounds like it's in the budget. They do make pour in place. I don't know the cost on that, I'm sure it's substantial.
We just talked
Yes.
about
Yeah, I
that.
kinda figured that. I mean,
Yeah, you missed that part.
50 grand.
Yeah, I kind of
And
figured.
an offense, you know, if the kids are carrying it over there, the fence isn't gonna stop them from
exactly.
carrying it over.
Yeah, I don't know if they're I really find it hard to believe that it's on the bottom of their feet and goes over there, with going through all that grass. I think that would knock it off. I think they physically are carrying it. And maybe a fence would prevent them if they're only going through one spot, that maybe they would think twice about it or something, but I know we're looking at that. I know that's already in the budget for, I think, next year or a park grant, so. Amazing how much money stuff is nowadays.
50 grand for the
Hoard
hoard
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
Did we
Now,
have a
we're-
price?
That's a whack.
That's
That's a
yes,
whack.
that's, we don't know exactly, but
Okay.
it's expensive.
Do we have a ballpark guess on substituting this stuff out for the mulch?
Mulch is not expensive.
But would we fix anything by doing that?
I don't believe that the mulch would be picked up and carried to the splash pad, because mulch is not fun to carry. Mulch doesn't look like candy.
Are we got any shoreline teachers we can ask? They should know.
As far as,
I playground, all that stuff at Shoreline, they know what kids move around, throw around,
Well, we got mulch at G.
yeah.
The new swing at G Park is mulched.
So if mulch is not expensive, and if we were to remove the blue chips, we'd set them aside and save them. So we'd be talking about some labor to remove the stuff and to put some mulch in. And then if it's a failed experiment, we really want the blue chips back, a little bit more labor we still have it, just put it back in place, but we're not gonna be in the neighborhood of like 50 grand or anything.
No.
And we could use that mulch at a different site if we were deciding to add something at Funnel or somewhere else. I mean, we'd have that available.
Do you guys just get us some options with some prices attached?
Yep, I can.
yeah. And Brian has contacted Sinclair, as far as a good estimate on the board in place. But that was just Wednesday morning?
Correct.
And I know they make another one. I think my granddaughter's school had one where it was actually pads. It was big 4 foot by 4 foot pads, and it was on I don't know, it was on a concrete base or something
Right.
like that where they did that as well.
And that's what they have to do, Jeff, for
Yeah.
the port in place too.
Oh,
is the
okay, it's
concrete
not,
with
it's
the-
not just a.
Right, that's
That's where a
your
lot of the expense comes from, is
Yeah.
concrete.
It's a
Yeah,
concrete
makes sense.
beforehand.
Yep.
Okay. Kinda figured.
May I just for a second?
Please?
Life expectancy of that structure, the play structure itself, is anywhere from 20 to 30 years. And as Scott had mentioned, we're probably well over half of that now. The port in place, if you decided to go in that direction, is about 12 years of life expectancy, provided nothing happens to it, and it's very expensive to fix. So if something does happen to it, those are just some things to think about too.
I'm sure if something gets loose on that, they can pick at it, kinda like wood,
Yep.
like foam. Versus the tile, the big 4 foot by 4 foot, but just replace them, like, kinda like a tile floor.
What's the life of engineered wood chips? How long do they last?
Not very, Steve. I think we were replacing those like every 5 years, or
Okay.
bolstering them back up again, not nowhere near,
Add to the base.
yeah.
The cost of those is
Like
nowhere near.
$5,000, I think, to redo the whole thing again. That's, again, just a shot. That seems to me that was the number before.
Pretty good size area.
And the
Yeah.
mulch would probably be at some annually, I would imagine.
Yeah, yep. If you stay on top of it.
It's pretty windy down there too, so.
Yep.
I just think we need, before we make a drastic decision, I think we need some prices.
Do you also take a look at the screen, see what the diameter of the holes are versus what the diameters of the chips are?
Sure.
Just curious. So I'm sure they're round to some sort of a standard.
Mhm.
Or maybe they can make a smaller screen.
No.
Do a 1/4 inch versus a 3/8 or some, whatever's in there. I don't know what's in there, so.
There isn't a screen in there.
It's
It's just,
the-
it's the slots at the top.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sure that's has
It's probably engineered.
been engineered by
Mhm.
the splash pad to accept the amount of water that's coming through there.
Yep.
So is the screen that's getting plugged up, that's the water's coming out, it's going back and draining down.
Trying to, yeah.
Is that water recycled?
No.
It's just
That's for
going
the
into,
sanitary.
just going into the drain?
Goes into the, yep.
Oh, so it doesn't go back through the pumping system?
No.
There is no
Goes to the
pump.
wastewater.
Nope.
So
So there's
is there a catch
there's
basin
nothing
there
that's
that
getting
would,
It's an
plugged up.
open system, so what comes out goes right back, comes out of the concrete, goes right to the sanitary, so it's wide open.
so is there
It's not closed.
a catch basin before that goes out to
Yes, that's where it heads, is to a catch basin.
Would you be willing to pull that, see
Oh,
if there's stuff in there?
absolutely. That's a good idea.
Where is that catch basin?
It's kind of in line with the, bathrooms, the doors there. In the park, in the grass, in the green space.
I just kind of think right now that, we need to table it until we get, further information.
When's it get turned off? I mean, we're not a whole lot of summer left already.
Depends on the summer.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
usually
a lot of
Labor-
things are Memorial Day to Labor
Labor
Day,
Day.
but that's, if we're still staying with some warm weather, we can go into October.
It's gonna be warm that late this year?
Says the
Very well
hunter.
be. I mean, we wanna leave it on as long as the weather's
Right.
conducive to kids using it.
I'm sure it's being used right now a lot.
Yeah.
92.
Tuesday, there was a Reese Puffer bus parked across the street.
Mhm.
Tuesday, yeah.
And there were a lot of kids down there.
I don't think I need a very precise number to know I don't want to go into the mid-five figures for that port option. So you give us an exact number, that's great, but if it's gonna be up in that range.
Or again, if it's grantable, something grantable, I mean, I would look at,
Yeah.
forcing them off. Again, we're putting in for a lot of grants, but,
Mhm.
Well, you'd want to compare the cost with the life expectancy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no sense put concrete in and have it busted out in 2 years to put a new play structure
And the issue's not gonna go away.
in. No, it's not, that's the other problem.
As we go down the road, you say that structure has a finite life. At some point, we're gonna have to deal with that, we're gonna have to deal with whatever's under the play structure.
Yeah, at that point, maybe we would be looking at, if we had to do a new play structure, of relocating it somewhere else where it wasn't so close to the splash pad, so we wouldn't have a problem anymore. But I would hope that we would have the problem resolved long before then.
My goal is to get rid of the chips. They're all over the park. They're a problem now, they're gonna be a problem the longer they're there, as they break down. We're gonna have to deal with this. Short term, get rid of them, put the mulch down. Look at what we wanna do. I agree, we need to get some real numbers on what things cost.
Would there have to be any modifications made to it at all, other than just having a couple of guys go over there and physically shovel the chips out and mulch in? Or would-
Potentially, not knowing what's underneath it now, Sean.
Mhm.
They put a mat down, so I don't know the condition of that, so, that would have, more than likely would have to be replaced, but
There's a couple spots look like it's
it's
The
pretty
mat.
a little
thin.
bit.
Yeah.
I don't know
Landscape
if it's
it.
torn or
Yeah.
what, but.
But other than that, no, the border would stay the same like it did before. Maybe just a little bit of site work and.
I'd be willing to do that and then hang on to the chips, and if it ends up not being satisfactory, we can reverse it down the road.
So do we wanna wait back for a number? Do we wanna give them an up to number? What?
I just wait for numbers to come back.
You wanna wait till numbers come back?
Be my preference.
Yeah, I'm not real comfortable making a decision without a little more information, you know, as far as what it's gonna cost us.
So you could have some numbers for us by the next council meeting?
I can't guarantee that, Steve. I don't know what Jeremy's schedule is. He was hoping to get me the price for port in place by next week, so we'll see.
Can your department take care of checking it every morning and
Absolutely.
sweeping stuff out of there if it need be?
I don't want to step on the volunteers' toes, but yes.
Right.
That would be up to him.
If it's hot out, they can do it after it's turned on for the day.
Right.
Okay.
Well, doing it while it's on might be more enjoyable.
It's true, it's true. Maybe in the middle of the day.
Just what the volunteer does.
With the water on it, it makes it easier to move things around,
Yeah,
Squeegee.
to sweep. Does. It's a dry sweep to begin with and then a wet sweep once the water's on. Takes about 40 minutes to clean it off. Depending on how much blue chips and goose gifts there are. Is there anything the public would like to comment?
I wasn't gonna, but Valerie Barnes, 1203 King Street. I went for a walk on the bike trail today where I'm all for, you know, graffiti and stuff, but that is disgusting down there and it smells like paint and I'm going, I can't breathe. It's horrible down there. Something needs to be done. And they didn't keep it just in the bridge. It's outside the bridge too. And if you've walked down there, it is absolutely disgusting.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else want to have anything to say? Thank you for your attendance. We're adjourned.